all the continents, we have to be also aware of the nonverbal language, like even success can be showed in different ways that very inappropriate in some.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just for us only. I won't be doing that with the whole group. So now we can see 45 participants already and increasing by the second, I should say. So we have a lot of people joining us, and let us wait for everyone to join us. So altogether, we have a lot of people joining us. There were 500 registrations for this webinar, which was a full registration. And then in addition, we are also broadcasting to YouTube, so we have additional participants there.
Hi to Jessica. She was the first to say hi to us.
Yes.
Hello, Jessica.
Welcome to the webinar.
Good to have you. And Marcelo.
That was me.
Yes, okay. Excellent. So greetings from Riga. Wow. Very nice.
Close. That's close, considering 5 continents.
Yes. And the Netherlands. Okay, very nice. Nice to hear where you are all from. And I think a bit later on we will also see a little bit more details of all the participants. Wow, Austria, Heidelberg, Recife.
Brazil.
Recife, ah, good.
Okay. Oh, Jakarta.
Johannesburg.
Wow,
yeah.
Wonderful to see you all from all over the world. Really, really nice. Curitiba, I've heard
Curitiba.
nice things about that place. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, so numbers are slowly increasing. More and more participants are joining us. So, and Lithuania, okay, excellent. And Guido, yes, this webinar is recorded and it will be available later online on our TUAS, our university YouTube account, and also this Innopeda website. So good morning, everyone from Brazil. Good afternoon to some others. So we have also different time zones available here. And
yeah, it's very late in Jakarta.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. What would be the time there? Maybe we can hear also. Oh, Land of Wine. Wow. Okay.
Bento Gonçalves. I've been there.
Okay. Yeah.
Bento Gonçalves, good wine.
Okay. Excellent.
Mario, if you allowed me, I just want to say that I'm getting some messages here that some participants are having problem with the Zoom link. But slowly we will have participants coming in.
Okay, so we may have to start a little bit past. It's 3 o'clock now, but I think should we give them a few more minutes? Is that what you mean, Juliana?
Yes, you can. I am sharing the YouTube link as well, but you can give 1 more or 2 minutes anyways.
Yeah. Okay. All right, sounds good to me. So happy to be seeing everyone here from different places. And oh, we have now a comment, 7 p.m. in Jakarta. So actually we could say good evening then.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Excellent. And Austria, Sao Paulo, okay. Indonesia, Riga, Porto Alegre, okay.
Porto Alegre.
Familiar. Oh, Salvador, wow.
Salvador, Bahia.
Novo Hamburgo.
Minna, have you been there as
yes, I have.
Okay.
Campo Grande.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Just one update. So I got the information that there is a problem with the Zoom link. So we are sharing the link from YouTube, and we're going to open the chat from the YouTube as well.
Okay. All right. Oh, Belgium as well. Okay, very nice. Welcome. And Cassius de Sul, Pernambuco, Parana, Valencia, Spain.
Valencia.
Very good. Very nice to see so many members. Espirito Santo. Okay. Very nice. It's nice to see all the different cities and locations. It just gives a feel of Minna. Actually, we could also already share to our participants
Yes.
who are in the room that, you know, we are representing Finland here. You are winter and I'm summer.
Yes. Yeah.
So showing a little bit of Turku. So of course here in Turku, you know, we have lots of water. I know in Brazil you have lots more bigger oceans, but we are by the sea as well. So
yeah, and seasons are very important for us Finns.
Yeah.
So we love our winters and we love our summers. And we want to have a proper winter, which we didn't have this year, but usually we do have.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely true. What about Adam in Poland? How are the seasons there? Do you have a very distinct winter and summer, or is it more, let's say, similar?
Well, it's changing like everywhere. I mean, we used to experience -50 during the winter, but last winter I don't remember freezing temperature at all. So it's changing, and it becomes just 2 seasons basically.
That's right. Yeah.
And so, yeah, if people know about Finland, Poland is quite close.
Yeah.
We're sharing the Baltic Sea, and I think the sea makes the climate pretty mild.
That's right. Yeah. So similar, and of course, in Sao Paulo, what about the winter in Sao Paulo? Could you describe, Marcelo, a little bit how it is?
You know, in São Paulo is different when we say winter from Rio, which is only 400 kilometers. Winter, a very cold winter in Rio is 20 degrees, you know.
Wow.
And so that's amazing. We have in Brazil, we have everything at the same time.
That's right.
And in the north, for instance, is different. Or what they call winter there is summer here down in the south.
Wow. It's so different. But okay, I think, Juliana, you think we can make a start, so people have joined us and also are following us on YouTube live. So thank you, Juliana, for letting us know, and let's make a start then. Okay, so I would like to warmly welcome you all to this webinar, Innovation in Education. I'm very happy to see so many of you here from all over the world, and of course, participating also our wonderful panelists who I will introduce a little bit later. My name is Marjo Joshi. I work here at TUAS, Turku University of Applied Sciences, in the Future Learning Design team, also in the Faculty of Business and Engineering. And I mostly train teachers in innovation pedagogy, online learning, and then dealing with online degree programs. But today I have the wonderful task of being the host of this session and also guiding the discussion. So I would like to ask all of you taking part in this Zoom webinar to write your questions in the Q&A chat box. So Q&A, you can post your questions there at any time during the session. And when we go through our themes, then after each theme, we will pick a couple of questions from you for the panelists. So you are welcome to present to all or direct your question to one of them. And also we have participants on YouTube. So I believe the chat there has been opened now as well, so you are welcome to post your questions there as well, and then we will try to come back to those as well. And the meeting will be recorded and it will be available afterwards on our TUAS YouTube channel as well as innopeda.fi website. And yeah, I think this is the beginnings of a great webinar. So let's make a start. So Julian, I believe, although we had some nice messages from the participants in the chat already where they are from, but if you could open the poll, and there we have also one additional question to them. So those of you who are taking part in the Zoom webinar, you should be able to see a poll now on your screens. And you can just simply click and choose the right option. And please, if you may have to scroll down a little bit on the poll box, then there is another question as well. And I will follow here and see how many answers we are getting. And then very shortly, we can share the results. So it's going to be quite interesting for us to know a little bit more about you. Although, as I said, it was very nice to hear from all of you already. And wow, what a wide audience we have from all over the world. So this is clearly a topic that is very interesting to many of us, and also really nice that you want to hear from our panelists regarding this topic. So very soon, I think we can close the poll. We still have a few more answers coming in. And let's see what the participation is like, Juliana. So yeah, so looks like we have a lot from South America, most also from Europe, Asia, Africa, as you see represented here. And also most of you are teachers, but also a good percentage education administrators, some researchers or other profiles. So thank you for sharing those results with us and your profile. So then also, of course, we can take that into consideration. Okay, but now let's have a few words about TUAS. So organizers of this webinar. So Turku University of Applied Sciences. So we are a community of about 10,000 members, teachers and students alike in higher education in Southwest Finland. And because we are University of Applied Sciences, we are very practically oriented, multidisciplinary, working together with working life and research and development and innovation projects in the region. So really trying to create the future professionals, and hence our topic of innovation. Okay, and let's move on to the next slide. And I would like to now present our keynote speakers, members of our panel today. So a very warm welcome to Marcelo TAS, first of all, Brazilian TV host, actor, producer, writer, and journalist. Welcome, Marcelo. And soon you can all present yourself in more detail. And Minna Scheinin, our head of Future Learning Design team here at TUAS. Welcome to Minna. And then Adam Jagiełło-Rusiłowski, PhD educator, social innovator from the University of Gdańsk, Poland. So welcome, Adam. And if you would like to briefly introduce yourself now. So Marcelo, would you like to start?
Thank you, Mario. It's a joy to be with you. I am a guy from television professionally, and I was fortunate enough to be invited to work with education very early in my career. First children series, and then distance learning. I work a lot with distance learning, with global TV, with television, using television, satellite, and books. And more recently, I went into online education as well. And today I do a kind of philosophical talk show in the public channel. and also online courses at Domestika, which is a platform from Spain. I'm actually right now doing that.
Thank you, Marcelo. Very wonderful to have you here. And then Minna, please.
Thank you, Mario. Hello to everyone. I'm Minna Scheinin, and I'm from Turku University of Applied Sciences. I work as head of Future Learning Design team, and our responsibility and the responsibility of my team is to implement innovation pedagogy in our teaching. And we develop this concept of innovation pedagogy together with our partners, and we also sell it around the world. I have my background in language teaching, so I love languages. I love to see other countries and experience new cultures.
Thank you, Minna. And then Adam, please go ahead.
Hello, everybody. I'm from the city of Solidarity in Poland, from Gdańsk. I am based at the university here, but I'm also part of a big family of Ashoka, which is a big organization of social entrepreneurs. So my passion is actually to be a change maker and to help everybody become a change maker. And my area was youth at risk. So I helped a lot of young people in trouble. I helped them become creative and entrepreneurial. And I shared this experience all over the world. And now I'm teaching mostly teachers how to be inclusive. And I run a lot of projects about inclusive education and, of course, applied creativity and applied innovation.
Great. Thank you, Adam. Wonderful to have you in this webinar as well. So you can see we have some good discussion coming up between our diverse members here in the panel and also, of course, in the audience. So please remember again our Q&A box where you can post your questions during the themes that we are going to now discuss. So let's have a look at our themes for today. So we have 3 themes that we will cover one by one. So the first theme that we will be discussing is innovation in education in your context. So in this particular case, the context refers to our panelist members. So they will talk about what it means for them linking innovation and education in their own context. And the second topic we are going to address is how to support innovation in different scenarios. So again, coming from different directions, different viewpoints, as you already heard. So they will talk about how to support it. And finally, the third topic is how to produce innovation. So similarly, again, addressing it from their own viewpoint, we will talk about producing innovation. So these are our 3 topics for today. And now we will go through them one by one, and each time we will have some viewpoints from our panel members, and then we will also take 1 or 2 questions from the Q&A box. So I think we are ready to move to our first question. So the first question is, what does innovation in education mean to you and in your context? So let's see what our panel members today think about this topic. So I would like to invite Marcelo to go ahead and start with this question. Please go ahead.
Mario, for me, education is about connecting dots. And we learn through life experience. So as broad as we have life experience, we can connect more diverse dots. And my context is communication. So it's important to say just now that communication in the last 50 years has changed in a form a vast change. And I've lived that, that was my professional career. So it's important to understand that today we have a very strong task, which is deal with this change. And in the recent decades, there is a new, very important point, which is the acceleration of communication. The acceleration of communication in the last 2 decades is very important, because we have, in the same time, we have like going from a communication that goes from me to you, and then in multiple platforms, we have a totally explosion of views. And then my task today is trying to understand the different bias, and that's a very key word for me in my contest, to understand the bias, what I'm saying right now, for example, and turning that into collaboration. That's, for me, is the key point when I say about my contest, which is communication. We have today the task of understanding that to communicate is not what I'm saying, but it is what you are hearing. What are you getting? And that has to do a lot of education, because in education now we have different platforms, different tools and ways to engage the students. And that's a beautiful and very hard task to follow.
Great, thank you for those views. Adam, would you like to continue from some of these themes and from your context?
I will do my best, but I'm already humbled by what Marcelo says, and I totally agree that education and innovation in education is about helping people connect the dots, connect them in their all unique, meaningful way. For me, education focuses on desires and aspirations, and how these desires and aspiration may connect to the collective well-being, to the community, and how, of course, it has to be done through negotiation and collaboration. So the meanings are of course negotiated. And of course, it's about helping people become critical about the bias, and helping them to generate ideas, how through basically very critical thinking, which again is part of innovation pedagogy. You know, it's not natural to think critically, but I think, you know, Brazil and Brazilian pedagogy has contributed to the world so much with how to think critically, especially Paulo Freire, who is my big inspiration. But, you know, from the perspective of the city of solidarity, working with aspirations, working with desires, are in the context of solidarity, you know, so how our aspirations can actually, you know, contribute to everybody feeling as a change maker. So innovation, especially from social innovation perspective, is about helping everybody become a change maker, and feel and being able to contribute first to the generation of ideas, then the kind of constructing some prototypes, and then improving these prototypes so they really serve the community in the broadest possible way, with the focus on the process itself, and the process should be self-organized. So from my perspective, innovation in education is again about not telling people what to do, but people self-organizing and kind of balancing these desires and aspirations with what is a common good.
Great, thank you, Adam. And Minna, I think you can continue really from this theme of not telling people what to do. And how do you feel about this theme in your context?
Thank you, Mario, and thank you, Marcelo and Adam. From my context, which is higher education and the University of Applied Sciences, I like very much your idea, Marcelo, of finding the knots. And now the question is how to find the new knots, not only the knots that we know about, and then further about Adam's idea of how to become the change makers. So I think that one answer would be to look at this on two different levels. Firstly, on the personal level, that how do we start thinking differently, and how do we find the new ideas? How do we find the new people that we listen to or work with? I always say that it would be nice to meet the wrong people. I mean, the people that we are not expecting to meet, and then some new ideas will evolve. And the other level is, of course, the institutional level of the educational institution, that we work on the processes in which we constantly improve knowledge towards the ideas that we can work towards, the sustainable ideas that we can then apply in the working life of our students. We always look forward to the graduation of our students and what kind of skills they have when they graduate. And we talk about innovation skills there.
That's great. Thank you, Minna. And what I picked up from all of you, there was one common theme. I don't know if you noticed that you all talked about some form of collaboration. So I would like to hear a little bit more on this from all of you. So Marcelo, you mentioned collaboration, and Adam and Minna as well, working with people. So how do you think this collaboration could work in terms of this innovation in education? What kind of collaboration more concretely? So Marcelo, if you could elaborate on this briefly.
Right. Before starting, we are chatting about the temperature in each city, and it's curious. I'd like to share that in São Paulo is 15 degrees, and I said it was cold. Adam said in Poland it's 15 and it was warm. So that's the bias. And when we exchange this kind of information, we can collaborate to understand our bias and to broaden that understanding into weather, for example, or culture. What is the culture of Poland about cold, and what's the culture of cold about Brazil? And I was watching the commentaries in the chat room, and there was a lady from Tocantins which said for her cold is 23. So when we really understand that we can connect dots, like Minna said, especially wrong dots, when we think it's wrong, but it's a new dot. It's wonderful to understand that we can create better change, better creativity, and better solutions.
Thank you. Adam, what about from your perspective in terms of collaboration?
Yes, it's very simple to say that we do things together. But, you know, when it comes to divergent tasks, that is tasks that have no one correct solution and answer, this gets complicated, you know, and we often make this mistake of acknowledging people only for a creative idea, for instance, okay, or for selling it. And in fact, the last one is the kind of most motivational, unfortunately. And I'm sure that all our participants have heard about Edward de Bona and 6 thinking hats. And I want to refer just to one technique and method of allowing people to do things together, engaging their different fields of expertise or even different characters. So I always say that, you know, Polish people are very willing to use the black hat because it's so easy to say, oh, it will not work. You know, I'm warning you. And taking a pride in this, you know, that I have warned you, this will not work. So I always look at, okay, the black hat is also very important in creating something new, but it has to be balanced. It has to allow other voices. It shouldn't kill the other voices. It shouldn't have all the power to exclude the other roles. So doing things together means doing it with different roles and with switching or transferring the power to have the voice and to be part of the decision-making processes and to be inspired by the diversity we bring into any process. And just this thinking hats and the ways we can use it, because we can use it as characters, but we can use it also as the stage of a process where, for instance, we mute the black hat and we really give the appreciation to the green one that generates ideas, and nobody stops the flow of ideas. But then there is the blue, the managing, the white, analyzing the resources, the red giving the passion and the emotions, including the fear. And then there is yellow, optimistic, and so on and so on. So all these roles have to come together and create a synergy. That's what I mean by collaboration.
Wonderful. And Minna, anything you would like to add?
Quite briefly, I would say that for me, collaboration, or in collaboration, the key element is really open mind, and that we don't have any prejudice of any kind towards the ideas that evolve or the ideas that people say. Of course, it's very easy, and we say that similar minds work together. But if you are not a similar mind, that's where the challenge is, and that's where you really should have the open mind in order to allow collaboration to take place.
Excellent points from our panel members. So being open-minded, sharing and understanding, doing things together, inspiring and connecting the dots, even if they're the wrong ones. So really excellent. So Juliana, do we have a question relating to this theme from the audience? We could take it now before we move on to our next theme. So
yes,
Juliana.
We have an easy question and we have a difficult question. So which one do you prefer first?
Okay, well, I think let's get the easy one out of the way and then.
So from Burhan Karanfil, the question is, what about inspiring the students? So how to inspire the students?
That's the easiest.
Yeah, go on. Anyone can take this. So go on, Marcelo. If you feel that it's easy, give us some justification now.
No. For me, that's the hardest, because inspiring students, we should understand that we live really in a very, very fast-paced era. I don't need to say that to you because you are in the classroom, you are in the schools. But I have some advice. I think it's very important to understand that the center of this change is the teacher. I'm very much sure about that, because we have this tsunami going on and there is a need of reference. So inspiring students is become tranquil of your whole. I have, you know, I have a very humble feeling saying that for teachers, because I'm sure that the reference in this era of digital change, the teacher is much, I'm very much sure about that. The teacher is the center of this revolution, because he should or she should understand that inspiring is that you are the center of reference and provocation and asking good questions and pushing wrong dots or bringing right dots. You know, I'm sure about that, about inspiring. You are in the center of it.
Yes, I quite agree, Marcelo. And I would like to add to this as the important role of the teachers. I have heard it said that we as teachers should give the students the trigger moments that they really get interested in something. They really realize that, wow, this is something I get motivated. I want to learn more about this subject. And that's how we motivate and inspire the students to take the responsibility of their own learning. And we then as teachers become supporters of the learning process.
Okay, I try to disagree a little bit with you.
Good.
That's nice.
Because with all respect to teachers and admiration, especially for teachers in Poland, I would like to kind of draft a problem. I'm doing a project now where we researched both teachers and students, and it's about inclusive education in elementary schools. But the first thing we discovered from our research was the gap between how teachers think they are inspirational and how students don't find them inspirational at all. And kind of the problem of dealing with that gap. And the way we deal with this in this project is about the challenge. So of course, I agree that the teachers are important as these providers of triggers, that is, of challenges, these problems without solutions that they offer. But the teachers should not absolutely give this impression, false impression, that they have an idea how to solve the problem. So, you know, they have to kind of remove themselves and be humble and say, look, we need to create a community. We need to invite others. Okay, you can ask me questions, but to most of these questions, I will have no answers for you. So, you know, this is what I organize. I organize a challenge. I give you some criteria of success for solving that challenge, okay? But I will not, in fact, assess your success. It will have to be the community, stakeholders, experts that maybe are on the moon. I don't know where they are. So, you know, my focus for inspiration is on the challenge itself and on the opportunities for learning, discovering, but also failing. Okay. And, you know, the problem with teacher being in the center is that the teachers really panic, not only when they are at the risk of failing, but when their students are at the risk of failing. You know, they want to do everything to avoid failure, and this is wrong. I think,
okay.
Can I respond to that quickly?
Okay, short, because we are also almost like going into our next theme, which is about different actors.
It is an amazing point, Adam. And I just want to stress a word that is fear. It's important that we talk about fear. And the way that we can overcome fear is to be in the present moment, you know, and to challenge our egos. And especially in this era, in the pandemic, we have to deal with new tools. And then we don't like to put our face to the student, oh, I don't know how to use this. It's a great opportunity for teachers to challenge fear. Just that.
Yeah, wonderful viewpoints from both of you. And as I said, this actually was a nice lead into our next theme. So thank you for this question from the audience. So Juliana, if you could just put our next theme on the slides for a bit so we can all remind ourselves that how is innovation in education supported by different actors? So already we heard very good points from Adam, Marcelo, Minna, in terms of the different roles a teacher, student can have in becoming part of this community. But what about any other actors you would like to bring to the table now? So let's hear from Adam perhaps first, if you would like to bring out any other actors, or do you see that teacher and student are the key actors in this innovation in education?
No, of course, I'd like to bring the employers or, you know, working life representatives, the people who are in the market and they need our students. Their role is crucial in organizing and giving feedback. And, you know, when we talk about innovation methods, we basically talk about different forms outside of university, outside of school. So that means going to life, to working life, working on real life challenges. So the very important stakeholders are people who work with challenges every day, and they have vested interest in educating people, not just the ones that they want or are able to employ, but people who create ecosystem, you know, around their business or around their community, because it's not only business. You know, I want to stress that I am a social innovator. So I deal with NGOs, I deal with the third sector, with education itself. So we, as teachers or as facilitators of learning, we need to ask them to offer constructive feedback to our students on how they are dealing with the challenge, you know, how they are problematizing it, how they see the resources for the solution, and if they are ready with a prototype, what is the value of that prototype? What needs to be changed about their initial solution? And I know that students really respect their feedback, not necessarily judgment, okay? Because it's not about judgment. I want to stress this difference, you know, because they can be very brutal with language, saying, you know, I'm not buying it, you know, this is not it. So it's not about judgment, it's about feedback. And feedback is like a nice hamburger, you know, we have people from Hamburg. So, you know, it has a nice piece of bun bread and then the piece of meat that we're interested in. And then again, nice piece of bread. And of course, we are interested in very specific remarks on what is working and what has to be improved. And this is the learning process, and this is how innovation is supported by the very constructive, very specific feedback.
Great. So we mentioned a few more actors than employers, third sector, ecosystem. So Minna, any other actors you would like to mention?
Yes, actually, I would like to mention, as I come from the context of an educational institution, I think that the management in the institution is very important, that the management supports the new ideas and the trials of innovation. And as you said about the failing and the fear that we can feel when we try out something, we are actually allowed to fail. And that is rather good, because the process of failing is actually a process of learning. We learn different skills when we go through a failing process, and we learn to stand up with discomfort, for example. So failing is actually very important, but the management must be able to support us in our trials.
Very good. Thank you, Minna, for adding managers into this. So Marcelo, any other actors that you are still thinking of involved in this process?
I have an important actor that I will present to you in my contest of communication, is this one. I think this is a very important actor that you all have it with you right now, right? So, and it's important to understand that the smartphone is a tool that connects all the other revolutions since Gutenberg, 500 years ago, when we start publishing knowledge. And then this last acceleration, when 50 years ago, satellite, PC, internet, everything is inside here. So it's a very important actor, and it's a tool not only for the students. I will just mention an experience here in Brazil that was really amazing. It has a lot to Paulo Freire, as Ada mentioned, that was creating WhatsApp groups among teachers in different areas of the country, in different realities of the country, very small groups, just exchanging experience that went good and experience that went wrong, as Minna pointed. Everything was a fantastic way of learning with this small new actor.
Yes, excellent addition to bring in technology, because quite often we don't want to think of it as something so personal that actually has such a significance to all of these aspects that we have discussed. So Juliana, we mentioned many different actors here in terms of supporting innovation in education. So any questions from our audience related to this? And once again, if we have new members in the audience, I would like to remind you to post your question in the Q&A chat box. So Juliana, please go ahead.
Yeah, Eric Silva, he's bringing a new actor to the concept here now of this conversation. So he's asking, the question is, how about the family context? How can it help or makes it harder for the children to create new ways of thinking?
Excellent question. Which one of our panelists would like to answer this first? They are all nodding, so I think they all are like light bulb moment. Yes, family is important. So please.
Family is important, but we should look very carefully to family. I will say something, and I hope my wife is not watching, because it is a joke, okay? But I love the school of my children because they treat parents not well. It's a very hard statement, but it's a joke. And with this joke, I have to say, parents, and I'm talking, of course, according to my bias in Brazil. In Brazil, I can say that parents sometimes treats school as the role of education, that is their role. It's kind of pushing to somebody else the role of educate the children. So it is important, of course, engaging the parents, but at the same time, to make a relatively, to create meetings, to create ways that the parents should understand that they have the whole of educate their children, not to push that to the schools.
Any other response? Yeah.
Because we identified with Marcelo the fear as a kind of, bad advisor and, an illegal driver. And in the context of innovation, I would say that, of course, we have to take into consideration the cultural differences. Mm-hmm. And I think the research by Hofstede, the Dutch researcher, is very useful because it shows how different we approach the concept of uncertainty. And most of parents feel that their mission towards children is to reduce uncertainty to the bare minimum, or to eradicate uncertainty. And it's counterproductive, of course. So if we allow the parents to do their job in this sense, then they are harming their children. They are not allowing to access the competences that they will need most to survive. Now, innovation pedagogy is all about how we deal with uncertainty. And culturally, we differ a lot. I don't know where Brazil is, but Poland is on an extreme in terms of reducing uncertainty. Okay, avoiding uncertainty. So, when I need to work with parents, I try to engage them in experiences that challenge that with them. So I use theater improvisation to allow the parents to experience how important it is to learn to deal with uncertainty through improvising, especially in a group, creating the safe community where you can experiment, you can, as Minna said, fail in a safe way. So, again, we have to modify it by culture, because there are cultures that love uncertainty and they thrive in uncertainty. So then culturally, we shouldn't have this problem, and the family will be supportive of all kinds of education and experimentation. But, I think globally, the parents need the same kind of support, or even more than the students themselves, to unblock creativity, to engage in meaningful inquiry and experimentation.
Excellent. Very good point about parents also needing support. Minna, anything you would like to add to this point of family?
Actually, there were so many good points now, and Adam's answer already moves us towards the third question of stepping outside of the comfort zone. So I think that we can continue with the next question. What do you think, Marjo?
Yeah, that's absolutely what I was going to say, because the words that we already mentioned, or that I was picking up from you, were failure, fear. Earlier on, we talked about the wrong dots. Now we talked about the need for support. So Juliana, if you could put the last question, our last theme of this webinar, on the slide, and let's just remind our audience as well what the question was. So our final theme is, how do we step outside of our comfort zone to create innovation? So Minna, perhaps you can start with this as you concluded the previous topic. So what are some of your ideas from your context to this stepping outside of comfort zone?
Thank you, Marjo. I want to start from the personal level or individual level. As teachers and educators, we must be quite brave, and we have to have the courage to do things differently. And also, I think that what I have experienced myself, that you have to be able to start processes which you didn't plan very well. So you don't know where you end up, and what's coming, and that teaches you to tolerate insecurity and uncertainty, and yes, and you still can see that there will be good results in one way or another. They might not be the results that you planned or didn't plan, but still there are good results, and you learn maybe different things what you thought you would learn. And that is, I think it's quite interesting that you don't have to plan everything very seriously and into detail, and still you learn a lot of things, and you learn and you get competencies that you will be able to use in your working life when you get out of the school as a student.
Very good point. So we have to be brave. So what about Marcelo? How do you feel about being brave, and what else could we do to step outside of our comfort zone?
I love this question because of talking about courage. And I'd like to raise two words. The first one is tapasia, which is a word, Sanskrit word, that's the meaning is when you do great things, when you move big rocks, there is a kind of fire when the rocks, they touch each other.
Nice.
So you should have courage to move big rocks. And when you see the fire and you feel afraid, you feel fear, which is a word that we have already mentioned, it's a good sign. I know it's not comfort, but it is a good sign, And there is another word that I love in Sanskrit, which is viveka. Viveka means discrimination, to have the power of turning bias into collaboration. When you understand, the realities, the difference of realities that you have in front of you. It can be children, it can be problems, and you bring the diversity of views to create something new that you don't know yet, but you can do it, with collaboration, with courage, and to put everybody in the same room, because the difficulty that we face right now is that we live in a world that is very easy that everybody goes to somewhere else, not in the present moment of a class or of a meeting like that, that we have a lot of technology involved that can go wrong, or we have a lot of difficulties because we are in our homes. So we should focus in what we want from this meeting. We want to understand together how we can, give better solutions to something so important, which is education. I feel very fortunate to work with different institutions to understand how technology, which usually gave us a lot of fear, this is not going to work, the children gets lost with this, and to change the mind with very hard work, putting people together to understand what is important. Viveka, discrimination.
Excellent. So more words about courage and igniting the courage to do things, to meet, to collaborate. So Adam, what are your views on how to step outside of our comfort zone? So do you agree with this courage that
Yes.
we need?
Well, I agree that you have to be brave, but I want to stress that you shouldn't be stupid. You know, the transfer from the comfort zone is not the transfer to the terror zone. So this is the transfer to inspirational zone. And the inspirational zone is about balancing comfort, which means that support that we talked about, that community of learners and community of learning, and being able to trust that community and go through challenges. So that comfort is not so much disturbed by, but augmented by a challenge that doesn't have one correct ready solution. And that awareness of having to come out with the solution, but the comfort of having community to do it with you, of not being alone. Because being alone, like, you know, when you showed this water, you know, being alone in this troubled water is terror, is not inspiration. So it's about this connection. It's about the support, the tools you have. So what I mean by not being stupid is being supported and being prepared with tools, with resources, with having the view. Before you jump in and you have to survive, you have to know your resources, especially your network of support.
What a wonderful metaphor and description there, Adam. I really started feeling a bit lonely here near the water now. So I need your support here and I need this network. So I think that was an excellent conclusion, really summarizing how do we step outside of our comfort zone. So we need each other's support. We need to be brave, and we need to also have the courage to ignite these so-called almost dangerous situations, but not to the point where we are stupid. So we need to be aware of the tools, resources, and to have each other before we take that step. So wonderful, wonderful discussion. So Julian, I'm sure that there are more questions from the audience. So is there one that is relating to our last topic of going outside of our comfort zone and these last points that were brought up by the panelists?
Yes, I will bring one question from Alexandre. He's from Paraíba, Brazil. And I think his question has to do also with our actual moment situation. So in your opinion, does somehow this very hard pandemic situation we are living nowadays can motivate a strong change in overall education strategies for the better?
Wow, excellent question, and I think very fitting for our conclusion. So which one of our panelists would like to take this one first?
Yes, I would like to say definitely yes. This is something that we all always want to try and see the future and have the capacity to foresight. But then again, here we saw that we couldn't do it, and something happened that nobody could expect really at this moment. And I'm sure that we will all learn so many new things that we can adapt into our daily lives after this, and it will be to the benefit of all of us globally. So my question is definitely yes. So answer, sorry, yes.
Yes, I want also to put a big yes to this, the question from Paraíba, which is a wonderful state here in Brazil. And I want to say that this virus for me is a magnifying glass. It stresses our qualities and also our, weakness. So it's a great opportunity to grow. It's a great opportunity to look at things that we don't want to look, and especially in my context in the communication, I want to say that it's a great opportunity to look after the children, because the way that children react to this tragedy, it's such full of learning, because they are very natural and at the same time courageous with this situation. And if I would be asked to say just one advice for someone that want to understand what she or he can do to understand how technology can help us in this situation, I would say that you should make just one thing: babies. Make babies and observe them with much care and attention.
Okay, thank you, Marcelo. Adam, anything you would like to add to this last?
Yeah, it's probably too much, so I will make it short. I mean, I have to make an introduction that my yes or no is context-based, and it depends on the level of trust for the community we talk. So unfortunately, I come from the community where trust is probably the lowest in Europe. But I am still optimistic, because the pandemic showed how respectful we should be of scientists, researchers, and innovators. And I was privileged to be invited as a mentor to probably the largest ever hackathon organized by European Commission. Almost 30,000 people donated their time, volunteered, and we had almost 6,000 mentors, as volunteers, to work with teams on 30 different areas of life related to pandemic. And it was wonderful to see the synergy, and I was really humbled by how people allow themselves to be mentored. Suddenly I realized that I'm mentoring an Oxford professor. Just being from a modest university in Central Eastern Europe, because people became really so task-oriented. And I think this solidarity started to be absolutely experienced by many, many people, especially academics who gave up their egos and really focused on finding creative solutions for the community. So generally, I'm hopeful. But again, we mustn't forget about the basic things like this trust and the sense of belonging. This is what Marcelo says, how to transfer from bias to collaboration.
Excellent viewpoints, Adam. I really find this word trust so important. So thank you for bringing that up as our conclusion. So I really want to thank all of our panelists for a wonderful discussion. It's been so inspiring. To me, it sounds like in order to have innovation in education, we need each other. We need lots of different actors. We also need a new generation who will add to this innovation. But we also need to have this shared common understanding. We need to be open to each other, but we also need to be open-minded and brave. So lots of emotions involved, lots of skills, competencies, and knowledge involved. And thank you for our panelists today for bringing your expertise and your ideas into this topic. And thank you for all of our audience for taking part. We have had many questions from you. You have participated, you have been enthusiastic and supported our panelists, view members here. So we really hope that this gave you some new aspects, new ideas, new inspiration more than anything for creating innovation in education. So thank you so much. On my behalf, Juliana, perhaps you can put our last thank you slide there just to remind us all of we are here together and we all want to support this innovation in education. So once again, just to remind you that this webinar has been recorded and it will be available on our TUAS, so Turku University of Applied Sciences website, as well as then, YouTube channel, and then this innopeda.fi website as well. So thank you, Minna. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Marcelo.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mario.
And thank you, Juliana, as well for hosting as well. So wishing everyone a wonderful, warm weekend, whether it's plus 15 or minus 15. And I will make sure, Adam, to get my networks and gear ready when I go to the beach after this. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you for inviting.
Bye-bye.
Bye.